Talking LA Kings as we head down to the playoff push with Kings broadcaster Daryl Evans in this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years, also co-host of the Puck Podcast, a weekly NHL review show that's been putting out content for the past 18 years, and a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. Joining us today is a frequent guest to the show. He played 6 years in the NHL, 4 with the LA Kings, and has been one of the voices of the team on TV and radio for many years. We are happy to welcome back to the show Daryl Evans. You can follow him on X, Twitter, and Instagram at Daryl Evans 15. Hey, Daryl, welcome back. How are you today?
I'm great, Eddie. Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Really appreciate your time as always, and always fun to talk LA Kings and more. Been a couple of months since we checked in with you, and obviously some things have happened since then. But I wanted to start with you playing in the Skate for LA Strong benefit hockey game last month. You were on Team White. I just wondered, what was that like for you to be a part of?
It was a great experience, to be able to come together, with the athletes that came together, the alumni, the Hollywood personnel, and then the first responders that played with us as well. It was just a magical day. A lot of money was raised, but I think more importantly was just the camaraderie that was built with everybody coming together in the arena, kind of getting their minds off, what a lot of those people have been going through for so long. So again, it was a magical day. And I think the people that participated had a lot of fun. And I know the ones that, the funds were raised for, they really appreciated the efforts that were made by such a wide range of people.
No, I know you get out there on the ice and skate around quite a bit, whether it's with youth hockey and things like that. And I wasn't there in person, but I saw it on TV, and it looks like you are still skating without any laces in your skates. Which, for people who don't know, and I'm a beer league player, and that is so crazy to me. What is that all about, and why do you do that?
I can't bend over to tie them up. Simple as that. No. No, you know what? Even when I played, I always one of my very first coaches told me not to tighten my skates too much, and I used to leave like an eyelid or 2 eyelids undone, and eventually then I'd go down about 5 eyelids undone. But I would tape them. But my skates were always loose, so you could kind of turn your feet. Your feet are like your hands, and you got to be able to utilize all the little parts of your feet. So I went with that, and then. At the end of my career, when I was over in Europe, I got rid of the tape. When I came back, I went down to a lace that was about 2 feet long. I put it through about 3 eyelids on each side just to be able, so my skate didn't fall off. And then now, let's face it, I'm not going fast enough to be able to blow my skates off. So they stay on, and I have no trouble getting dressed a little bit quicker than most people do.
Yeah, I would guess taking them off as well. That's crazy, but it's certainly unique. We've had several guests on during the season, people that are involved in different areas of the Kings. Dieter Rule, the musical director and organist, Mikey Alexander, one of the in-arena hosts, and one of your partners in crime, Carlin Baith, was on not too long ago. And I like to ask them, what is their game day like? What is it like when they prepare for a game? And Daryl, your role has been a little bit fluid, I would say, this year. Sometimes you're down between the benches. When you're on the road, you're helping out with Carlin doing the pre and post game show. You're doing interviews. Also, I think Jim Fox was down between the benches in the last game against the Islanders. I assume maybe you were doing radio at that time. You're kind of wearing a lot of hats, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just being involved in the games. Calling the games. I really enjoy that. Having done some TV for a number of years now, being able to be down at that ice side position, you get a whole different perspective down there. And this year we actually a couple of opportunities when I wasn't doing TV down there. I suggested that we do a radio broadcast from down there, and we've done a couple along with Josh Schaefer where I've been down there and he's been up top. And I think it works out great because, again, you get a different perspective down at the ice. You're able to pick up on different things, conversations that are going on. You get a real feel for the pace of what's going on and just kind of like the temperature of the game. All the little battles, things that are going on, the conversations that go on between the two benches when guys are going to their respective benches. So I just think it brings more to the fans, and I've really enjoyed that part of it. But the game is so fast, so entertaining, and I'm involved with it. I go to all the practices, and you just get a great appreciation for how good these athletes are and what they're able to execute at such a high level of speed.
I asked Zach Dooley this. I asked Carlin this. Do you have a favorite arena that you like to go to on the road? And is there a favorite NHL city? I know I always enjoy seeing your posts of you going for your morning runs around North America. But do you have a favorite arena and a favorite city to visit?
There's a lot of great places. I think one that jumps out at me is going to Chicago. Just the way the anthem is sung there. The gentleman that does the job there, if you can't get up for a game, listen to him sing that anthem, then you got water running through your veins. I mean, you want to be in there. He gets you all revved up, and even as a broadcaster, you get fired up. So I think that's probably my favorite experience, listening to the anthem there. But from the standpoint of all the cities, there's so many great eateries. I love to get out and walk around. I like to run. The places that have water, sometimes the warmer climates are a little bit more favorable, but I never shy away from a cold run in Winnipeg. I've been out there with shorts on, -20, -30 degrees, and people think I'm crazy, but it's an experience. I've fallen through the ice there and ended up in a pond, and it's a lot of fun, but it's there's a lot of great cities across our circuit.
I did want to ask you, 19 games left in the season, and hopefully a few playoff games as well. I'm not exactly sure when we'll have you back on again, but your longtime partner, Nick Nixon, 44 years in the organization, Hall of Famer, is calling it a career after this season comes to an end. I wonder if you could just give us maybe a few words about working with Nick Nixon and what he's meant to the Kings organization.
It's been a great experience working with Nick. I remember when I first got called up, he was calling my games, and just seeing the way that he's evolved, as a broadcaster and listening to his calls, having one of the best seats in the house, sitting alongside him when he was able to call the Stanley Cup championships. Those are things that I'll never forget. I've learned a lot from Nick. His approach, the way he calls the game, and all the little tips and pointers that he's given me over the years. To help me out with my broadcasting. I'm forever grateful to him for that. But I'm so happy for him that he was able to call a couple of Stanley Cup championships. Even as players, a broadcaster still means a lot to you, even though we're not down on the ice. To be part of that type of experience is something that you never forget. It's something that you bring your family into, and over the years, just watching his family who, grow, his kids get married, grandchildren that he has now. So, he's at that stage of his career now that he's content with what he's accomplished in the NHL. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. There's not much more that Nick can do, in the field that he's in right now. So congratulate him on an incredible career, and thanks for everything that he shared with myself, other broadcasters, and everybody in our organization. Between he and Bob Miller, we're fortunate Bob as well, called 44 years. And I know when those two guys, when they're together, when they're in the audience of our fans love listening to them, because those guys have experienced so much. They've been around all our players for all those years. The stories they have are just, for unbelievable memories. So again, just congratulations on a great career for him, and what an honor and a pleasure it is to have worked alongside him with so many years.
I had Jim Fox on the show, and I asked him about it. And I asked him, I go, Jim, I've never known watching the Kings without you doing the games. I've mentioned I've been a Kings fan for over 30 years, so it's been a while. And I asked him, are you still enjoying it? Do you know how much longer you want to do it? And he just said, I know I have a plan. Daryl, you've been doing it for a while, not quite as long as those guys. Are you still enjoying it? Is this still something that you have a passion to do and want to do for quite some time?
I have a plan too. I'm gonna do it for a long time, for as long as they allow me to do it.
There you go. Sounds
I really
good.
enjoy what I'm doing. I love being around the game.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough over, I think it's probably been about 20 years or so that I've been going to the draft and meeting our young guys when we draft them. And building relationships with them. I worked with it on the development team. I was a skating consultant for the team for about 15 years. And it's just great being involved in so many different levels, the community, doing our camps and clinics, speaking engagements and things like that. So no, I'm still on top of it. I wake up every day and I can't wait to get to the next, opportunity to have around our game. So, I don't foresee anything in the near future, but I plan on doing it as long as I possibly can.
Well, that is good news. Just mentioned a minute ago, 19 games left in the regular season. We're going to talk about where the Kings are right now, where they're headed as we go down the stretch here at the end of the season. We've got Daryl Evans with us here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. UCLA is going to be in the tournament, maybe a few other California schools, maybe UC Irvine, a couple of San Diego schools looking to get in as well. And with tournament games happening almost every day, there is almost something exciting happening all the time to bet on. FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly, so no waiting around. So visit FanDuel.com to get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. We are continuing with former Kings winger Daryl Evans, scored the overtime game winner in the Miracle on Manchester against the Edmonton Oilers a few years ago. Daryl, the NHL trade deadline was last Friday. The Kings didn't make any blockbuster moves, but they did add a player in forward Andrei Kuzmenko, right-handed shot to help him out with the offense and on the power play. 3 games for Kuzmenko. No points yet, playing on the Kopitar line with Andrei Kopitar and Adrian Kempe. What have you thought of how he has looked so far with the Kings?
I think he's fitting nicely. Yesterday morning, the pregame skate was the first time that he actually had a chance to practice with his team. So I think when you look at those first couple of games, basically just kind of flying off the seat of his pants, so to speak, quick whirlwind type of weekend, flew in, got on the plane the next day, or probably got down to Crypto the next day, played a game, got on the plane with the team, flew to Vegas, played another game, came back, kind of kicked back and relaxed, kind of, catch up on things a little bit. And I think he's done well. I like what I see. The way the deal was put together, they didn't have to give up anything out of their existing core or lineup in order to get him. He brings an element that the Kings lacked, in particular on the power play, that right-handed shot, the bumper position. And I know he hasn't figured in on a goal on the score sheet, but in Vegas, he was the next guy, the third guy in on a couple of those goals. So he's doing a lot of good little things, a little detail. And even as late as yesterday, when the team practiced for the first time and they worked the power play, Coach Jim Hiller, he said that he hasn't seen his power play look so good. So that was just a small sample size, but he's got great vision out there. He's very competitive with the puck. He's great hands, great vision on the ice, maybe to a point where he's a little bit too unselfish. You'd like to see him shoot the puck a little more. He shoots the puck extremely well. Great personality, seems to be fitting in with the team well. And I think it's an element that should give the Kings a little extra boost going down the stretch. He can create offense, and he allows the Kings forward lines to be able to slot themselves a little bit more dangerously. Having Turcotte now down playing with Hellenius and Jeannot on that fourth unit, he brings a little bit of skill, a little puck possession. He's kind of the alpha, taking an alpha role on that line. And that line has had some great games since the acquisition of Kuzmenko. So I look at nothing but a 2 thumbs up for the Kings. I think Rob Blake and his staff did a great job at seeking him out, and they should get the best out of him. He's in a contract year. He's auditioning right now, and he should be at its best. He's enjoying the company of the guys. And I know from other guys that have come in the last number of years, the Kings have a great environment here, from the locker room all the way into the community. They embrace newcomers, and they want them to exceed. So the stage is set for Kuzmenko, and it's not going to be all measured upon, necessarily goals and assists. The impact that he has, the way the opposition look upon the Kings, he's had an impact already on the team.
I know that they hope he can help with the power play, as you mentioned, but the Kings aren't getting a lot of power play opportunities. They only had 1 in the last game against the Islanders. Are they just not getting calls, or is there something that they could be doing more to try and get some more power play opportunities?
Well, a combination of both. I think Kuzmenko's style of hockey, he actually drew a penalty, and the Kings actually scored a goal on a 6-on-5 advantage when they pulled their goalie last night before the penalty could be served. So I think Kuzmenko will help him draw a few more penalties. I know Kevin Fiala does not get the benefit of the doubt from the officials, and I think that goes from a little bit of history of, arguing with the officials, and, they don't like that. So I don't think he gets the benefit of the doubt, and I think he deserves to have more calls against him because he's such a strong puck possession guy. The Kings do collectively as a team. They need to play inside the dots a little bit more, drive the seams. A couple of games ago, we saw LaFerriere drive to the net. He actually got a goaltending interference penalty. But if you drive to the net like that, defense are going to have to pull you down, and they're going to be taking penalties against you. So I think with, being there's some young guys in the team, you want to encourage that, and they'll find a way. But, they've had the fewest power plays in the NHL, 144 through 63 games in the year. It's just barely two a game. You've got to find a way to put the opposition in more trying positions out there. And the way that you do that, you possess the puck, you bury your head, and you go hard to the net.
Speaking of power plays, real quick, you've broadcast a lot of games. You've been a part of a lot of games. You ever seen a team get 8 power plays and go 0 for 8 like the Islanders did the other night?
It doesn't, it doesn't happen too often. But the Kings penalty kill, when they're on and they're in sync, they're good. And we always hear that cliche: your best penalty killer's got to be your goaltender. Darcy Kemper was outstanding last night. The Islanders, they've struggled on the power play. Their power plays ranked 32nd in the NHL, but they have been on a little bit of a run as of late. They were 25% in their last handful of games. So, the Kings, again, they did a good job. One was a 5-on-3 disadvantage, a couple of key face-off wins by Andrzej Kopitar, and guys sacrificing their bodies getting into shooting lanes. And they picked up a couple of shorthanded goals as well last night because of it. So not only got the penalty kill done, but they countered the other way. But that's an area where the Kings, they've had a little bit of a dip for most of the year, and they were in the top 5. And then they slipped down to 12 before last night's game. And, with 8 kills, now they're back up to number 8 position. So it's an area that's going to be a big part, an important part going down the stretch and then into the playoffs.
Quinton, Byfield, always a topic of discussion. Obviously a very important part of the Kings now and in the future. 4 straight games with a goal now. He's got a nice little stretch going for him. Is he just kind of in a little hot streak, or do you feel like you've seen something of late where he has elevated his game, and in particular his ability to finish plays?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. I think when you look at the stretch just before, in February, he led the NHL with assists. He had 10 assists in February. So his game is, going to a higher level. He's taken on more responsibility. He's putting in more prominent situations. The overtime goal that he scored against St. Louis, he had one, a couple of months ago against Edmonton at Crypto as well. Great individual efforts, great shots to finish. His confidence is getting greater. His consistency is coming along. The other night in Vegas, after scoring a goal there where he drove the net and Kevin Fiala shot from the high slot, ends up going off his skate. Like Coach Jim Hiller said, that those are the type of goals he wants to see Byfield score, those ugly, greasy type of goals by driving to the net. With his skating ability, he's going to back defense off. He's going to open things up for his wingers. We all know he can score the fancy goals, the highlight reel type of goals. And I think he's starting to slowly learn that there's a lot of goals to be had around that net with that big body that he has, the strength that he has, the quickness that he has, and the soft hands that he has. He's going to pounce on some pucks. So he's going to clean up some gravy in that area, and those are going to boost his stats. But the Kings right now feel really good about where his game is at. They're using him in all situations. He's the first guy on the ice in overtime in a 3-on-3 situation. So that's a kind of a promotion for him. He's starting to take more face-offs. That's an area that still needs improvement for him, as it does for everybody, because there's some great centermen in the NHL. But he's coming along nice guy. We still have to remember he's just 22 years of age, and he's doing a lot of good things at this stage of his career. But the key word, I think, is consistency is really starting to take its place, and he's feeling good about his game. And when he feels good about his game, gets that swagger going out there, that makes it tough on the opposition. He's another guy that should be able to draw some penalties as well.
And another young player, Brant Clark, has been a topic of discussion a lot amongst fans, with him being a healthy scratch for a few games, but back in the lineup now, playing on the second pairing with Joel Edmondson. What do you think about what is essentially Brant Clark's rookie season in the NHL?
Very common to what we've seen, ups and downs, a little bit of a roller coaster. At the beginning of the season, he was put into an elevated role because of the injury to Drew Doughty. He got a chance to quarterback a power play that unfortunately didn't, get traction. Not that it was his fault in any way. As the season goes on, the games tighten up. The game gets a little heavier. And I think Brant's learning a lot about his own individual game. We all know he's got, great vision. He thinks the game at a whole different level, differently than all the other defensemen on the team. So that element is there, and it always will be there. He needs to work on his strength in the offseason, shooting the puck more. And when he does shoot the puck, he's got a decent shot, but that's another area that he can work on. If he's going to quarterback the power play, he's going to be on that number one unit. He's got to pose a double threat. There's one thing to be able to move the puck, but if everybody knows you're never going to shoot, they're going to leave you wide open for a shot and make sure everybody else is covered. Because if you're not shooting, then there's no threat of being scored against. So he'll learn that. But his game has had some nice growth spurts through the course of the year. Defensively, you look at the last couple of games against St. Louis and Vegas on the weekend. Last night's game was a tough one because a lot of penalties. He doesn't play a lot in the penalty kill right now. But I thought those two games against St. Louis and Vegas, he was really good both defensively and offensively. And I think once he understands when he takes care of things defensively, his natural offensive instincts are going to kick in and he's going to get his numbers. And he's learning. It's been great to watch him develop, but there's still high ceiling there for him. He's got a lot of growth, and Kings fans are going to love what they see. I know they don't like to see him when he's not in the lineup. They're wondering what the organization's doing. But again, he's all these young guys. They have their little hiccups, and Brant's no different than any of them. And he's going to be a great player, and he's going to be a King for a lot of years.
All right, we're going to talk about the Kings playoff push here with broadcaster Daryl Evans on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. You just realized your business needs to hire someone yesterday. Can you find some amazing candidates fast? Yes, you can with Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored job posts put your site at the top of the list and help you reach the right candidates faster. And if you've been in that spot where you need the hire right now, the pressure's on, and every day without the right person is a setback, that's exactly when Indeed's sponsored job posts come in handy. They make sure that your post is seen by the right candidates right now. And now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. All right, we're wrapping it up with Daryl Evans, longtime Kings broadcaster. And Daryl, we've seen the Kings recently been a bit up and down. They had a 5-game losing streak. Now they're on a 3-game winning streak. Had a thrilling 6-5 win over Vegas involved in that win streak as well. I guess just in general, how do you feel about how the Kings are playing right now?
Well, I think they're starting to dial back in. It's been a tough season because of the compressed schedule with the Four Nations tournament. There's heavy schedule early, a lot of road travel early, and then coming out, including myself, I think everybody figured, everybody's going to be rested up, but everybody's feeling the fatigue from it. Sometimes that little setback, and it takes its toll. Now you look at the schedule. I think the Kings have 16 games in the month of March, so it's very little practice time, and of course you're more banged up at this time of the year. But I think the Kings are exactly where they expected to be. I think there's been a lot of growth in their game in a lot of different ways. I think if you go back 12 months or 11 months to when they were in the playoffs with Edmonton, they're a better team in goal. They're a heavier hockey club. They've got more experience with the additions of guys like Edmondson back in the blue line, Fogle and Jeannot up front. Kemper, in goal has definitely stabilized that position for them. They feel very confident in that regard. And then, like as I mentioned, like Fogle up front, Jeannot up front, and Edmondson back in the blue line. The growth of a couple of the young players, LaFerriere, he's taken his game to another level. Turcotte consistency is coming along. Byfield's game is growing. And, Trevor Moore got off to a tough start, but he seems to be grabbing his game again. Deneau, even though he hasn't scored as much, He's been on a line where they've been able to create some offense. So I think the Kings feel good about their game right now. They just want to clean it up a little bit, play to their identity, and that identity is being a tough team to play against defensively. When the Kings lock it down defensively, I think with the skill set that they have up front now, they have the ability to score some of these timely goals. So they got to commit to a 60-minute game. They're in it for the long haul. The addition of Kuzmenko makes them a better team going down the stretch. That adds a little bit more offense to them. He's got compete in his game and makes the opposition look differently upon the Kings. Even the Edmonton Oilers that they've played for the last 3 years, you think you've got the book on the opposition, but let's face it, they've made some changes as well. And the Kings will have to, if that's their matchup in the first round, they'll have to, do their homework again as well. But they just want to make sure that they, going down the stretch and getting into the playoffs, that their game is at its top level and it's trending in that direction again.
Yeah, it's certainly trending towards Kings Oilers round 4. But something that could be different, though, this year, as we go down the stretch, 19 games left for the Kings, 13 of them at home. They've got 2 head-to-head games with the Oilers. And as we have this conversation, they're just 1 point back of Edmonton for second place. If they could get second place this time, they would have home ice advantage. We know how good the Kings have been at home. So there's some really big games coming up for the Kings down the stretch, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of big games. And, I think another factor, if it happened to be the Edmonton Oilers in that series, would be having that home ice advantage. And, you talk about the amount of games the Kings have remaining at home. They've got the best win percentage on home ice this year at 21-3-4. They feel very comfortable in that building. There's a lot of energy in that building. And I think that could play a factor in the postseason. So we'll see how it all plays out. But, with a home and home set with the Edmonton Oilers, those are going to be, pivotal games as to deciding who's going to finish, whether it be in the second or the third spot. Or let's face it, there's still a lot of hockey. Any of the 3 teams could still, compete for that top spot. Vegas has not got themselves too big of a lead where they're not catchable. So you just take it one game at a time. I think all teams, going down the stretch, whether it's, in the East Conference, the West Conference, you want to make sure that you just shore your game up, that you've got guys, if there's got any flaws in their game, they're able to clean it up a little bit. You want to make sure special teams are clicking. And, let's face it, goaltenders play a big factor in the postseason as well. So you want your goaltenders to be rested, healthy, and ready for a long postseason. It's just the beginning of a long, long run. We're sitting there talking about 19 games left here, but potentially it could be another 28 games at the other end of it. So, and those are the most grueling games of the season. So a lot of hockey left, but this is the most fun time of the year.
Well, speaking of one game at a time, the next game for the Kings on Thursday is against one of the top teams in the NHL, the Washington Capitals, and Alexander Ovechkin coming to town. He's 9 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time goal-scoring record. Did you ever think that record would be broken, Daryl?
I remember watching Alexander Ovechkin and the goal that he scored when he was laying on his back and swept it back into the net. And, of course, that wasn't nearly obviously the only goal that he scored at that time. He had scored a number of goals. And I said to people at that time, if anybody's going to beat Gretzky's record, this is the kid that's going to do it. And he has not let anybody down. I mean, the passion that he has at the age of 39, he loves scoring goals, and he does it with great consistency. He's scoring more efficiently now than he did throughout his career on a goals per game basis. 321 power goals. I mean, he just destroyed the old record of 286 power play goals. We always talk about records. This one won't be touched. That one won't be touched. I don't know who's going to get that one, but his shots on goal leads the NHL in that category. And here's the one that jumps out at you. He's third in hits, third all time in hits. Now here's a leading, eventually going to be the leading goal scorer in the history of our game. He leads the league in hits as well. So, up amongst the leaders in hits. His game has never changed. Maybe not as physical now as he used to be, but you know what he's going to do, where he's going to be shooting the puck from, and he still finds a way to put it by the goaltenders. That just goes to show you how effective he is. 950 goal seasons. Just what a career. It's been an honor to be able to watch him, and it's a treat to watch him. And I know the fans, at Crypto.com Arena, when he's in town tomorrow night, they've been looking forward to this game, and they would like to have been a little bit closer to see if magic would have happened on that night, that the Kings beat them 10-1 and he gets that one goal to be number, 895. But, that's not the case. But anytime you get to see a player like that of that stature come into a building, you just, you take it all in, because let's face it, this could be his last trip to coming to Los Angeles. If he happens to break the record later on in the season, he may retire at the end of the year. So I think you have to take it in, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching him.
Well, it's always a lot of fun having Daryl Evans on the show, former Kings player, longtime broadcaster. You can follow him on X, Twitter, and Instagram. He is at Daryl Evans, Daryl. Daryl Evans 15. Don't forget the 15. Daryl, we always appreciate your time. Great talking with you as always. Thanks for all you do for Kings fans, and thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
All right, Eddie, keep up the great work. And like I say, we're good for some great hockey going down the stretch. And once the postseason gets started, we'll erase the slate. We'll start again. And hopefully it's a deep run for the Kings this year.
Hopefully so. Looking forward to it. Thanks again, Daryl.
All right, Eddie, have a great day.
All right, you too. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Always appreciate Daryl Evans' time and the conversation he has with us. As we mentioned, Kings Capitals coming up tomorrow, 7:30. You can see it with Daryl Evans and company on the FanDuel Sports Network, nationally on ESPN Plus, and also that is going to be on the 710 ESPN app as well if you want to listen to it. For you everydayers, those of you that listen and watch Locked On Kings every day, Thursday show will be a recap of the Kings Capitals game shortly after the conclusion of that one. Hopefully you will join us then. If you want to stay in touch with the show, email address, lockedoneddie, EDDIE @gmail.com. Social media, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We are at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thanks for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And as always, go Kings, go.